Hey guys, Angelo Lambropoulos, Director of Lambros Realty here, and today I want to talk about the Cherrybrook Station precinct. There seems to be a lot of talk in the Cherrybrook region as to what's happening. A lot of people, residents that live here, want clarity on what's going on. So what I've done, and then bear with me if I'm looking down from time to time because I've got my notes here, so I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But again, this is a matter of opinion. I don't have a crystal ball and I don't know exactly what's going on, but what I am trying to, what I will portray here is, what I'm looking at is reading the play, and that's what I'm basing my opinion on. So hopefully this will help some of you out there, steer you in the right direction. I obviously welcome your feedback on this topic as well and see what you think in relation to some of the points I've got here. So I think, why hasn't it been rezoned and when will it? So first things first, there's some objections that need to be overcome first, okay? Now, obviously one of the things you need to, which needs addressing is, look, the average life cycle of a property is 30 to 40 years before, development is considered. Now, obviously there are exceptions to the rule, but that's a main one there, right? So what you'll notice is a lot of the properties that are sitting, the privately owned ones around the Cherrybrook priority precinct, the average life is around 25 years. So a lot of the homes in that section of Cherrybrook are the newer side. So you've sort of got New Line Road, which goes County Drive up, New Line Road, which goes Purchase Road, Shepherd's Drive down. That's the older side, the Shepherd's Drive Purchase Road section. So that's another factor that needs considering, and probably, I dare say a reason as to why things haven't progressed, right? But that's only a minor one. The other thing as well is the government owns 3.5 hectares of land around the priority precinct. So I think you'll find that before anything happens in the shape of privately owned properties, parcels around the precinct there, the government's inclined to sell off theirs first, okay? Now, obviously, they've been very tight-lipped as to what's going to happen and when it's going to take place, hence the reason why everybody's in limbo. But reading the play, what I'm also looking at as well is the assessment of the Northwest Rail Link. So we know how our train networks aren't the most reliable, let's be honest, and obviously adding to that, if you were to sort of build and develop without doing a proper feasibility study, it's easy to come up with hypothetical and assumptive numbers thinking, okay, well, it'll run in accordance because this is the population growth we're expecting. But look, unless it's put into practice, you don't know. So I dare say they probably want to monitor and assess how efficient the rail link runs as well before anything's to take place. I think you'll find that if you look at the neighbouring suburb, Castle Hill, there's a few developments that have taken place there and haven't sold as well as they would have liked. Construction, there's been complaints that construction's not as good as they would have liked. So I think there's a lot of areas that need addressing around the precinct before you start considering developing in Cherrybrook. And just going back to the train station, as I was saying, you want to make sure that the train network's running efficiently. We want to see how it goes at peak hour traffic as well. Peak hour is bedlam at train stations, let's be honest. So even though these trains will be running every 4 minutes, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the Chatswood connection there. So I think they want to make sure they get that right before anything else is to take place as well, right? Because the worst thing you can do is add to the trouble where you've built developments and it's just gridlocked. So you want to address that first. So I dare say that's another factor there. Now, no surprise, it's written all over the media, and the fact is the property market is in its correctional cycle, right? And over here I just did some research, and dwelling approvals across Australia have hit a 2-year low, right? So I think what you'll find is the apartment approvals, mind you, are the ones that have fallen the most as a result of this. And the key factors are obviously the financing difficulties and the reduction in migration, which population growth has slowed since the government has obviously introduced stricter visa requirements, right? So you've got that's coming into play. So without a doubt, what we're seeing is supply outweighing demand, okay? So balance needs to be brought back into the equation. So the worst thing you can do is obviously add more apartments, townhouses, high-rise, whatever it may be to the equation in a market which obviously isn't achieving the return on investment as a developer you would like. So this is why we'll find a lot of developers and the rezoning hasn't taken place as yet, because let's be honest, money talks. Now, you're not going to release your your property, or the developer's not going to take it on knowing that there's no money to be made, and these markets are very high risk and they know that. So this is why you'll find that look, there have been some groups around Cherrybrook where a lot of the private developers have pulled out, right? So this is where, and they know it's return on investment. So when you're reading the play, they obviously know that the money's not here to be made, so they're going elsewhere. Now, the other thing I think that isn't really considered, and I'd love to see a feasibility study on this, is Cherrybrook is a family suburb. There's no two ways about it. People come to Cherrybrook because of the schools. Now, I'm not saying there's no room for apartments. There's always a place for apartments, units, high-rise, wherever it may be. But I think you'll find it'd be a little hard-pressed selling them off as opposed to it would somewhere, say, in Chatswood or Lane Cove, or somewhere that's a little closer to the city. As far as apartment and high-rise and that style of living is concerned, people want proximity to Sydney CBD. So are you going to get couples investing in Cherrybrook and purchasing apartments commuting to the city when they're further out? To me, it's like saying let's go put apartments out of Glenorrhea or Middle Dural somewhere. It doesn't make sense. If you're going out to acreage, you want acreage. You're not going there to buy apartments. So similar, it can be said in a different view though, where Cherrybrook is a family suburb. It's dominated by family residents because they're coming in for the school. Are you going to come into Cherrybrook for apartments and units? And look, I don't know the answer to this. This is just the way I'm viewing it. I mean, I've been in the suburb for 30 years, so I think it's something that needs to be considered. I dare say there isn't a place for high-rise because of that, right? Now, further still, I look at Epping and Beecroft, neighbouring suburbs, and you look at the developments that have taken place. I think the state government they were very trigger happy with Epping, right? Where don't worry about the infrastructure, let's just build and get people in, and the rest will take care of itself. So I don't think the feasibility study was taken all that seriously. Maybe enough time wasn't given, I don't know. But what you can see is it's chaos around Epping. Now on the flip side, you look at Beecroft, and in my opinion, I know the community were up in arms and didn't want developments taking place, but I think it's brought a bit of character into the suburb. And character, look, Beecroft's already had character. It's a beautiful suburb, but I think it's been very tastefully done, right? So you look at the difference. Now I dare say, I'm looking at Castle Hill being the Epping. I'm looking at Cherrybrook that's likely going to be the Beecroft of all of this, because you need infrastructure, right? Now, in order for infrastructure to take place, the problem with Cherrybrook, if you have high-rise, right, you're going to have to widen roads. You're going to have to get schools, right? You will need more schools because obviously the schools here are at capacity anyway, right? So all this needs to be taken into consideration before they develop. Now, if infrastructure starts to take place and you start to see schools coming in, roads widening, you bet your bottom dollar it's likely going to be high-rise apartments to fund that exercise, okay? Now, if you don't see anything of the sort happening, it will likely stick to the facade similar to that of Beecroft, which you've seen on Chapman and Mongola Crescent opposite the station there, where they've gone up 4 stories. They've kept it as a maximum and they haven't overdeveloped. So they've been quite tasteful in the way they've done it, right? So they've put it in pockets that are handy, but haven't ruined the facade of the suburb. I dare say the similar can be said with Cherrybrook, okay? So I guess bottom line to that, in my opinion, when can I see the developments or things proceeding as far as, developments take place in Cherrybrook? Honestly, I think we're probably another 5 to 10 years. I think that's my opinion as to when I see, and why do I say that? I say that because it'll tie in with the 30 to 40 year age time frame of the properties, where they start to hit the end of their life cycle, where developments are taken a little more seriously. I anticipate the market to pick up and be quite strong, at the 5-year mark. So I think it sort of ties in. And as far as feasibility studies are concerned, I think you'll find by the time they get the train network running efficiently, everything has its glitches, and I'm sure there'll be, good luck. I hope there's not, but I dare say, statistically speaking, there always is. There'll be a lot of teething problems that need to be taken into consideration. Will there be a transitioning Cherrybrook in the sense of people being more accepting of living in apartments and units and that style of life? So more studies, I believe, will have to be carried out in that area. So I think there's, on the surface, it looks like, wow, here's a station, let's develop, great idea. But really, when it gets down to the nitty gritty and the planning and the development side of things, and just how lucrative it is financially for developers, personally, I don't see any money there for them. I really don't. And I dare say this is why a lot of them are pulling out. Now, whether they enter the market again remains to be seen. I think, as I said before, just my opinion, I could be wrong. I'm tipping somewhere within the next 5 to 10 years, we should start to see movement in Cherrybrook in the shape of development. So, look, that's my opinion, just based on the research and reading the play. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Let's keep the discussion open. Angelo Lambropoulos, Director of Lambros Realty here. You can call me on 9481 0999, or you can simply visit me here at the office at Apple Tree Shops Cherrybrook, where I'd love to carry this discussion further. And look, perhaps you know something I don't, and again, I hope this is sort of a lot of you viewers watching out there, that it's helped and perhaps steered you in a direction where you can start probing and asking a few more questions, and perhaps made you think of something that you hadn't perhaps thought of. So again, this is my opinion. A lot of people obviously don't like to put their opinion out there, because you can be red-faced at the end of it all. But hey, I think it's every now and then it's good to do so. So thank you for watching, and till next time.